Good morning and happy Wednesday for everybody. This is the third day of the ICFP 2025. Today is the Media Hook FPNN interview show on Pronatalism. Welcome back again with me, Dina Chaerani, your SRHR Barbie, and it's an honor for me to have my own speakers today. Coming right away from Canada, our amazing Nandita Bajaj, the Executive Director of Population Balance.
Thank you so much, Dina. It's great to be here.
Okay, Nandita. But before we come into the conversations today, I want to know more about the pronatalism and what is actually the population balance, if you can introduce yourself.
Sure. So, Population Balance is a US nonprofit organization that looks at the links between reproductive rights and how it's connected to pronatalism and how it's connected to population growth and also the ecological crises that we're experiencing. And pronatalism is a combination of social and institutional pressures placed on people, primarily women, to have children and to have large families. It's everywhere around us. The pressures are coming from not just family, for grandchildren. It could be in the media. We see celebrity gossip about the latest baby bump. It could be religious pressures to be, fruitful and multiply. It could be state-sponsored pronatalism where you're getting tax credits and baby bonuses for having large families.
It's super interesting. I mean, you mentioned a little bit about religion pressures. FYI, I'm a Muslim myself. I'm from Indonesia and I'm almost 30, by the way. Me, myself, actually, because it's almost reaching the aging out and then people think that, oh my God, you're going to get expired. As a woman, why you are holding on and then not going to have babies? I myself, I have partner, but we decide that no, I think we just want to, be a child free and then don't want to have kids and then just enjoy each other's company. But also, this is 2025 and actually many people do not know that they actually have choice. I want to know, how about you? How was that situation back then? Because even up until now, this is still questionable,
Definitely. Yeah, I'm 44 years old and I was raised in India, which is a very traditional patriarchal country. And I was raised kind of believing that motherhood was my destiny. I was eventually going to get married and have children. And I moved to Canada when I was 17.
Okay.
And I met my partner who is Canadian. And when we started getting serious in our relationship, he asked me what I thought about having children. And I didn't even know that I had a choice. I literally said to him, what do you mean? Don't we have to have kids? Because everyone I saw growing up in India had children. So I thought, well, of course you have to have kids. And when I found out that I had a choice, I was shocked and thrilled that I could choose not to have kids. And I was 28. So quite liberated, but still I didn't know that I had a choice to not have kids. And I think more and more people today are realizing that choice is there.
Yeah.
And they're either making it for their own, self-fulfillment.
Yes.
Or they're making it for environmental reasons, because we know the links between human presence and activity.
Yeah.
And what we're seeing with the ecological crises are quite intense. So I think a lot of people are now becoming aware and making conscious choices.
Exactly. We are now in the ICFP, which is the biggest conference on family planning, right? I want to hear from you, what do you think about this conference and what actually has been missing in the conversation during this conference?
Well, I think we're already talking a lot about reproductive rights and reproductive justice. And one of the statements that's often brought up is people should be able to decide if, when, and how many children they want to have. And I think more and more, I'm happy to see that the topic of pronatalism is coming up, especially when it comes to the if question.
Yeah.
Like you said, you don't have children. I've decided not to have children. I have a lot of friends who have decided not to even partner. And so I think even the word family planning assumes that everybody is going to create a family. And there's a very specific definition of what family means.
Yeah.
And so I think we have to unpack that traditional notion of family is not true for everyone. in many countries around the world, as people, especially women, are becoming more empowered, they're choosing to have fewer children, and more are choosing to have no children. Approximately 20%, for example, in the US are child-free by choice. I think this narrative that women are failing to produce enough babies, whether it's for religious reasons, for economic reasons, or for nationalist or anti-immigrant interests, it's really coming from this pronatalist push that is not something that's new. I think a lot of people think that pronatalism started a couple of years ago when Elon Musk started talking about it. Yes. But pronatalism has existed literally for thousands of years since the start of patriarchy, which is when empires and nation states needed to strengthen state power, and they started pushing women to produce lots of children. Yeah. For that. So I think we need to understand that pronatalism is the oldest form of reproductive control. And women's reproduction has been controlled for thousands of years for other agendas. And population really only became a problem because of pronatalism. We shouldn't be afraid of the word population. We should actually own the narrative around population, because it's only the lack of reproductive agency that has led to the exponential growth in population that we have today.
I think it's also important that we have the champion, sort of, especially in the media or also like social media, because I am quite active on Instagram and TikTok, and then I saw a lot of like other celebrity also posting, like, for example, I'm 30, thriving, child free, and I live in my own apartment and I'm happy. That kind of, I think that kind of narratives and also statement needs to be also like, more sounded. So
definitely.
How about like your organization? Do you also work together with the young people for this kind of issues?
We definitely do. I do a lot of presentations to universities and high schools. I run my own podcast that's called Beyond Pronatalism, Finding Fulfillment with or Without Kids. We do a lot of research publications that we put out. And we raise a lot of awareness also, not just about choice, but about responsibility. What we owe, not just to one another, our potential children, but also what we owe the planet. Our environment is not some kind of thing that just exists for us to colonize.
Correct.
Our environment is literally our home. And we should be looking at what's happening to our ecosystems that are collapsing. Our climate is breaking down. There's global toxification. There's massive food insecurity. And these are all symptoms of ecological overshoot.
Yes.
I think the environmental connection is deeply missing in the conference. I think reproductive rights and environmental and ecological justice are deeply interconnected.
That's actually very interesting when you say that, like, because I think it's not a box that can fit for everybody as well. And then it's interesting that if we know about this, then we have the informed choice as well, right? You are now in the FPNN, the Family Planning News Network, one of the biggest family planning news in the world. I want to ask you actually, what actually the role do you think educations or media or even young people like me can play in challenging population taboos and also promoting the informed, equitable choices?
Excellent. Yes, I think media and education are incredibly important in helping to shift the narratives around reproductive rights and pronatalism especially.
Yeah.
I think social norms for hundreds and thousands of years have played a huge role in telling us what's normal, right? That's what social norms do. It tells us how we should fit into a certain box so that we can belong.
Exactly.
And so I think more and more people who can start challenging these dominant narratives around what's considered a family, what is the role of people, especially women, that our role is not just tied to our reproduction. If we choose not to be mothers, that's a deliberate path. If we choose to be mothers, that it's a real choice available. And so I think shifting social norms can be a really excellent opportunity to do through media and education by helping to platform non-traditional voices, people who are happily single and thriving, people who are child-free and thriving. people who are childless but have found a pathway out of that grief. There are so many other family types that we don't talk about outside of this traditional heteronormative family with children.
Thank you so much, then, Nandita. It's amazing.
Thank you so much, Dina.
See you in the next segment.